Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very gloomy, rainy day in Moscow and I just wanted to stay inside and wear my big sweater. That is actually my dad's sweater, but don't tell him. And I wanted to record a video about financial aid at Minerva because a lot of people have asked me about it, and I know it's not the application season right now, but God knows how busy I'll be when the application season starts. So I just want to make this video now, and then whoever needs it will find it whenever they need to find it. As a person who receives financial aid at Minerva, I understand that it can get quite confusing. So today I thought I'd just cover the basics and then I'll leave some time to answer your guys' questions that you have sent me on Instagram stories, and I hope this will be helpful. A disclaimer, as usual, I'm not an official Minerva representative. I'm not 100% knowledgeable. Maybe some things I get wrong. I don't think I will, but who knows, this is life. Also, the things I'll be describing are coming from my personal experience with financial aid at Minerva. Maybe some students will have completely different stories and it's their place to tell them. I'm telling mine. So now that we got it clear, let's go to the official Minerva website. There's a special page for tuition fees and there's a special page for financial aid, so I'll link all of those below. Basically what we see on the website, the undergraduate tuition fees at Minerva all add up to $25,950. And additionally to that, there are $5,000 that Minerva estimates students will need for food, transportation, and other personal expenses. So all together, estimated, the total cost of attending Minerva for 1 year is $30,950, which is like $31,000, let's just say it that way. That amount of money does not include flight. So it is our responsibility as students to pay for our flights and to pay for our visas, which I know can sound very intimidating, but if you do it at the right time of the year, you know some tricks, and depending on where you live, it can actually be not as expensive as it seems. Regardless, we don't get financial aid on our flights and visas, but we can get financial aid on that $31,000. And let me tell you guys, it is a lot of money, especially because most students at Minerva are international students. I think we feel it much more than some American students because in Russia, where I'm from, higher education doesn't cost that much. Same thing as my friends who come from India or from South Africa or from Norway or a bunch of other countries, especially in Europe where you can get it for free. $31,000 seems insane. So I think what Minerva means when they say that they are committed to reducing the cost to attend the university program is that if we compare Minerva tuition fees to a bunch of other American private schools, we can see that Minerva is actually much cheaper, which is nice. However, $31,000 freaking dollars. So let me sip on my coffee and now let's figure out how we can pay less. When you're applying to Minerva, there's a deadline for your application and there's a later deadline for your financial aid application. Once again, it's on the website. All you need to apply for Minerva financial aid is to fill out the CSS profile. That's a pretty basic standardized form. It asks how much your household spends and earns. I think it asks about investments, stuff like that. The second thing is Minerva's financial aid questionnaire. That's more detailed. It asks specifically about your mom, about your dad, and it also asks if you have some special circumstances that you would like to talk about. The last thing you need to do is prove all of that with documentation. So tax returns, bank statements, all of the things that are evidence that what you're telling about your family situation is true, and then you just send it and pray. And from my personal experience, I applied binding enrollment, which means that I got my decision in like 3 weeks, and then I had another month to apply for financial aid. Because of binding enrollment, I was in a very weird situation because I got in and I had 10 days to enroll, and I would only find out about my financial aid situation in April because that's when all the packages would come out. And I got in February, so I had to make a decision whether I want to enroll or not without even knowing my financial aid. So instead of panicking, I emailed Minerva and we talked about it, and I was like, hey, I just want to make it clear, I need to know if I can get it or not. They basically assured me that I would definitely get financial aid, which allowed me to proceed with my enrollment and give the $500 deposit. And on April 4th, when I got my financial aid package, it was like the happiest day ever because I was like, yay, it all worked out. Anyways, financial aid at Minerva consists of 3 things. It's a grant, it's a loan, and it's a work study position. Let's go over them. The grant is the most objective part of the financial aid because it solely depends on your family's financial situation. It varies for each person. There's no merit-based financial aid at Minerva, it's only need-based. So it doesn't matter what grades you get or if you're an athlete or not, it only depends on whether you can pay or not. Responding to a question that a lot of people ask me, I have no money at all, can I attend Minerva or not? The simple answer is yes. Yes, because I know of some students who pay like $1,000 a year because their families cannot contribute anymore. Technically, if your family is in that situation, or if you don't get any support from your parents, and if you can prove that with documentation, technically, Minerva can help you invest in your education. This all comes from my understanding of the system. So the way the grant works is that Minerva looks at your family information, your personal income information, whatever you put down, and then it looks at how much you can actually contribute, and it meets you at that point. So if your family can only contribute $2,000 a year, then Minerva will give you a loan, a work study, which I will talk about later, and the rest will be the grant. So it will vary a lot depending on how much you and your family can pay. The second part of the financial aid is the loan. Unlike the grant, the loan is actually a set number. I think it's about $5,000. If you receive financial aid, the loan is always an option. And if you accept the loan, you will start paying the interest rate for that during the academic years. I know that some students have gotten loans in their home countries because the interest rate is much lower, and that's how they pay for Minerva education because it makes a lot more sense. I live in Russia. I do not trust No, I can't say that. The economy fluctuates a lot, and there are a lot of other things that don't make me feel comfortable taking out money from a Russian bank. So instead, I was like, you know what? I'll just do it through Minerva, and that's what I've done. You could take a loan every year for 4 years. The whole amount will not exceed $20,000. The last part of the financial aid package of Minerva is work study, which is probably my favorite part because it's so much fun. Well, work and fun. If you're qualified for work study, then it means that you'll have a job throughout the year that will allow you to pay for your food, for your transportation. I know that some students save up that money and they spend it on their flights as well, which is pretty awesome. I think it's about $4,500. Well, I can actually check, but do I need to check? Do you want me to check this? Okay, let me check it. The reason why I like work study so much is because you get to work with a manager that is part of the Minerva team, and they're usually very interesting people. It's also really good to get some experience while you're still studying. So by the time I graduate Minerva, I will already have had work experience. Okay, so work study is $4,500, and I think that's supposed to cover the $5,000 that students spend on their food and transportation, stuff like that. However, why is there a $500 difference? I don't know. Your work study position depends on the questionnaire that you fill out at the end of the summer, and you basically put down your interests, what you can do, what you would like to do, what team you would like to work on. That's my niece. I'm sorry, she's playing somewhere. And then Minerva will assign you to a certain team, and you get to know them and you work for them. I've had a great experience with work study so far. Let me knock on wood. We get paid by San Francisco standards, so we get the minimum wage, and I think it increased a little bit recently. And we usually work 10 hours per week, but because the minimum wage increased, I think the number of hours will reduce a little bit as well. So I'll update you guys next semester when I actually start studying. In a month and a half, I'll already be in Berlin studying. That's so insane to me. Wow. Yeah, so I think I've covered the most important aspects about the financial aid, and now let's go to the questions that you guys have sent me. Is it loan-based? If so, what's the interest and how much can you borrow? I think the interest rate is 6.5%, and you can borrow up to $20,000 in 4 years. Can you get year-round accommodation leases if you can go home for the holidays? Okay, great question. All holidays, you can stay at the Minerva housing except for the summer. So the 3-week winter break, you can stay at the Minerva housing because the move-out date is December 31st and the move-in day in the next city is January 1st. So it's not a problem, except for the summer break because it is 4 months. That's a very long period of time. I know that some students can go home for the summer break, and what they usually do, at least the few that I know of, they find a job for the summer, whether it's in the US or anywhere else in the world, and they do the work or the internship or whatever they decided to do there. So maybe that could be an option. Can you get student loan from the US or Russian government? UK from me. The loans that we get from Minerva do not come from the government, they come from a private company with which Minerva partners. That's how I believe it works. But I think what you can also do, if the interest rate is lower in your country, you can decline the loan in the financial aid package, and you could get a loan in your country instead. Use that to pay for your education and then pay the lower interest rate. Might be an option. Does the financial aid help cover the cost of the flights too? No. How much time do you spend for work study each week on average? 10 hours on average. Are you going to come out of Minerva with significant student loan? Are you worried about it? I'm not worried about it because I don't think about it as much, and I also hope that I will get a job by that point. As a student, it's very daunting, but I hope that as a professional in my field, when I'm older, I'll be able to pay it off. How does it aid? It helps you invest in your Education. Is it possible to get a job while studying at Minerva? You can't get a job in the city if you're a US citizen, at least in San Francisco. So a friend of mine, she didn't have work study, but she really needed money, and so she worked at a gym near a rest hall in San Francisco, and she was able to support herself through that. However, as a citizen of Russia, I'm not allowed to work in the US on a student visa outside of my college. And in other cities, I think it also really depends on the laws and your citizenship. So if you're in Germany and you have a citizenship of one of the European countries, then you can probably work there. In India, nobody probably will check. So it really depends on the laws, on how strictly those laws are followed, and on your citizenship. Is there any way you can get a full covered tuition at Minerva? I'm broke but want and need it. Yes, there is a way to get a full covered tuition at Minerva. As I said, some students pay the minimum amount. There's definitely a chance to get full financial aid at Minerva. You just need to apply and provide all the supporting documents. However, it all depends on how Minerva views your situation, because they account for a bunch of things. I don't know which things in particular they account for. I also know of some situations where students expected financial aid coverage or like a substantial financial aid coverage, but Minerva didn't provide that. Does everyone get it? 80% of students at Minerva have financial aid. What if you still count as dependent on your parents, but they refuse to support you? Ooh, that's a great question. I think the best thing to do would be to email Minerva and to discuss it with them, because I think it's a very special situation. Can you talk about work study program? Maybe tell us your experience. For work study, we usually have the same position for 1 full year. First year, I worked as a book publicist, which was really cool because Minerva was publishing its first book about education. Basically involved a lot of emails, a lot of marketing strategy. I really enjoyed it. And then last year I worked for outreach, which I also really enjoyed. It was more about designing webinars for potential applicants at Minerva. But it doesn't have to be all marketing. Some students do academic research, some students work in the building, some students are TAs for the professors. So there's a variety of jobs. How do you control your expenses? You've been in different countries, shopping, food, trips. I wish I was better at budgeting, but I'm just not, so I can't give any tips on that. Maybe when I get better I can tell you guys, but don't really control my expenses. I just see how much money I have and I spend accordingly. I already have an undergraduate degree. Can I have a full financial support? If you're applying, then you're the same as everyone else, so I guess you can. Somebody just sent 3 hearts. Mwah! Hearts to you back. Is it possible the aid will cover not only the tuition fee, but also the accommodation expenses? Definitely. I think I've covered most questions I've received. The ones I didn't respond to, I think all the things I said before have covered, so I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I know the finances can be a very sensitive topic, and I know that for some people, they determine whether some opportunities are available for them or not. I just wanted to make this video to give you guys the idea that it is possible to study at Minerva even if you don't have a lot of money or any money. I feel like there's an image that Minerva is just for rich people who want to travel, but it is so not true, because as I said, 80% of the students receive financial aid. I just hope the finances don't stop you from even applying, because you never know. What if you apply and you get in and you apply for financial aid, and what if you get it too, right? Because I didn't think that that would be possible. I'm just speaking from my experience. I would be able to pay $31,000 a year, but still I was like, maybe if there's like a little chance, I'll still try it. It's been 2 years so far and I'm still doing it. And I think it's important for me to say this, because when I was applying, if I saw a girl on YouTube telling me this, I would be like, oh yeah, I can definitely do it as well. You know what I mean? It's like you're expanding in your mind what's possible. So yeah, if you're that girl, if you're that boy, if you're that non-binary person, I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching this video. I can't wait to edit the 3 hours that I just recorded. As I said, I'll link all the website pages down below. If you have any other questions about financial aid, leave them down below so I can respond to them and more people can see them. I'll do my best to respond. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I will do my best to upload twice a week while it's still the summer, because I realized that I have much more time than I will once the academic year starts. So my plan is to upload twice a week, on Sundays and on Thursdays, or maybe Wednesdays. I don't know which day is better. Let me know. I'm excited to create more content. I'm excited for this gloomy day. I hope you are having a very grateful time, whatever the weather is like in your part of the world or whatever you're doing. And I will see you very soon. Do people understand why I do the kiss? Like, it became like this thing, but I wonder if people just think I'm... Should I still do it? God. Okay, anyways, music.